Okay. So I will record. Hi, thank you all for jumping on. Sorry for all the little business side notes at the beginning. I'm going to record this on English on my computer, and then Becca, after Maria launches, I'll have you record it in Spanish on your computer. So before we launch it, welcome to Food Bill Action Team. New time, same people, new time, name, place, Food Bill Action Team. Thank you for being here. Before we launch in, Maria, please share an introduction about who you are and about language justice, and then we will keep moving.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Good afternoon, everybody. Maria Lisa Fuller here from the Community Language Co-op. Very glad to be here. Thank you for the host for the constant commitment to work towards language justice. The idea is to allow each individual the right to express themselves in the language of their heart, the language that they feel more comfortable with. By doing so, we're very confident to be witness of real conversations that can benefit all the participants in the different platforms. So we're going to enable the interpretation in a minute. You're going to see a globe icon on the screen. If there's any participants that need the interpretation, you will click on it and select the channel that you feel more comfortable with. I was aware by Wendy that might not be somebody that needs interpretation, but we are going to record this session in Spanish. So Wendy, whenever you're ready, we can activate it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maria. So I'm going to, and this is where I wonder, do I need to add your name in here, Maria?
Yes.
Great, there I see it.
Okay, great.
And I need to actually add in English to Spanish?
Yes.
There. Did I do it? Wonderful. So everyone should see the globe icon now, and you could choose either English or Spanish. Please let me know if you don't see it. Can I see a thumbs up? Do people see that? Great. Thank you. Yay. Great. Wonderful. Thank you. And as I said, we'll send out a recording of this in English and in Spanish after the call. Thank you. So thanks everyone for being here. We usually do try to keep Food Bill Action Teams pretty short and sweet. So we don't often do open introductions, but we love to hear a little bit about it. So if you don't mind just like chatting in your name, if there's an organization you're here on behalf of, physically where you're calling in from in Colorado, you could maybe add in where you wish you were calling in from. If that is different, that would be great. So please do chat in like name, who you're with, where you're calling in from. And if there's someplace else you really wish you were calling in from right now, I would like to hear what that is as well. So thank you all for being here. So as I said, okay, so sorry, I'm still figuring out some technical. I need to make my coworker co-host, I think, just 1 minute. My amazing coworker, Becca, who usually runs these meetings, has COVID. So we have a few little hiccups here this morning this afternoon. There we go. I think, Becca, you are a co-host now. And thanks for chatting in a little bit about who you all are. Okay, so for those of you who've never been here before, my name is Wendy Peters Muschetti. This is our every other week Food Bill Action Team meeting. If for some reason this is your first meeting and you are not on our FABAT, we do call it FABAT, the Food Bill Action Team. If you are not on our direct email list, if you didn't get the invite or email directly from me or Becca, please email me and I will chat in my email right now. It's wendy@nourishcolorado.org, but please email me if you did not get this directly and you want to be added to our list. There's my email. Please let me know and we'll add you. So, and thank you all for chatting in your introductions. I love it. And so today, the Food Bill Action Team, those of you who've been around for a while, we are kind of doing a little bit of flip-flopping right now between federal policy work like the Farm Bill and state legislative work. We have spent a lot of attention in the last many months on getting ready for the 2023 Farm Bill. Now that we are pretty deep into the state legislative session, we're going to be spending some sessions talking about state legislation. So what I'm hoping to do today is to talk a little bit about the bill that we are most actively working on at Nourish Colorado, which is House Bill 23-1008 on food accessibility, how it builds upon or relates to a bill that we worked on last year, House Bill 1380, which created the Community Food Access Program, and how they relate and build upon each other. And Mickey Davis is here from the Department of Agriculture that's actually running that Community Food Access Grant Program. So Mickey, please, at any point, I'd love for you to like jump in and add some updates as we go. And then I just want to make sure too, before we get off, like if there are any other bills that you all are tracking or a part of that we should know about or have questions about, that we touch on it. But mostly want to talk about 1008 today. So good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to start this story with last year's bill. And Mickey, this is where I want you to please like jump in. So because House Bill 1008 that we're going to talk about, it really does build off last year's bill. So last year in 2022, we were part of a pretty significant bill effort that became one very large bill that had 4 very distinct pieces and parts to it. And there were 2 pieces and parts of that bill that we really led and worked on at Nourish Colorado. And a lot of you were here for all of this. And it was an ARPA funded, so the American Rescue Plan funded. So it was funded through federal dollars. That's why the state had sort of a big influx of dollars last year that we could seek and build some really substantive work around, and why we did sort of this big collaborative bill process. So a couple things that we worked on last year. One of you all know is that we did get money for the Department of Human Services to build technology to be able to integrate the double up food bucks or produce incentive directly back onto an EBT card. That is moving forward with the State Department of Human Services. And the other piece that we worked on last year was the establishment of essentially this Community Food Access Grant Program and consortium at the Colorado Department of Agriculture. So last year's bill brought this sort of one-time infusion of federal dollars to build this program in the Department of Agriculture that would be primarily a series of small grants. At that point in last year's bill, there were small grants capped at $25,000 for eligible entities of farms or ranches, farmers markets, food hubs, and with a very, very strong focus on independent, Colorado-owned small food retailers. So really looking at a set of eligible grantees in community, feeding critical calories to their neighbors in community that sell food in community. And the grants have a purpose of really helping them build their infrastructure to be able to pay for distribution and receive and store and offer fresh, healthy, perishable foods in their communities. So the grants, were intended to cover like cold storage, infrastructure, business operations, anything one of these sort of food vendors would need to be able to distribute and sell more of those fresh, perishable foods in their community. So there's the grant program, and then there was this consortium part about it that was also established through last year's bill, really to bring together sort of more of the wraparound services needed in addition to just the money in terms of value chain coordination, training, technical assistance support for grantees, and positioning grantees to be able to know about the grants, access the grants, find the grants, all that. Mickey, you're probably like, oh my God, I'm butchering this. So I want to flag that was a program built last year that is now already moving to implementation this year. And then Mickey, what do you want to add to that about the Community Food Access Program, where it is and what it is now?
Honestly, Wendy, no one can say it better than you. I'm excited to see a lot of folks on this call that have registered for our public engagement workshops. Those have totally filled up, which is so exciting. It really indicates how much this bill that Nourish worked so hard on really just hit the nail on the head with what the various communities across Colorado really need. So the recordings of those workshops will be posted on our website, and the notes from the discussion sections will also be made public too. So the information will be available to everyone. But Wendy, as you're probably gonna get into, there's a lot of exciting movement on how to make this work more permanent.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Love it. Okay. And I'm chatting in the bills and I know this seems like sort of a long drawn out story, but I swear that's all connected. So Mickey, so glad you could be here. So the point to kind of take away from this is that the Community Food Access Grant Program, it's already existing. It's built in Department of Agriculture. It's already being launched. community engagement workshops coming. And last question on that, Mickey, is do you have an estimate of when the first grants might be, first applications might come out?
Yeah, we are aiming for early to mid-June as that grant going live. So mark your calendars. I'll also drop in an opportunity to join our listserv if you're not on it already, and you'll get all the updates there.
That's great. Thank you. So what I just chatted in was this bill we spoke about last year, which I know is sort of long and convoluted. So now fast forwarding several months, their Representative Wiseman, Mike Wiseman is a Colorado State representative and who had been tracking this process, tracking the development of the Community Food Access Program, very, very interested and concerned about issues of food access and food security in his communities, and basically sort of started drafting a bill to take the Community Food Access Program and make it much bigger and much more longer term in the Department of Agriculture, and sort of came to us late in 2022 with this bill concept. And it has sort of been tweaked and refined a little bit as we go, but the gist of it is a few things. So I'm gonna kind of go through, there's three primary parts right now of what's now House Bill 1008 on food accessibility that are really sort of building off this Community Food Access Program. So, so three things coming. So one, the first part of the bill, which is an addition, is the bill as is written now would include money for what's called the Healthy Food Incentive Fund. So there's an existing line item in the state budget, Healthy Food Incentive Fund, that is cash for local produce for participants of a federal nutrition benefits program. So right now that money is contracted through the State Department of Public Health to our organization, Nourish Colorado, and we use that money to either pay for double up food bucks incentives, cash incentives to buy produce for SNAP shoppers, and or we use it to buy produce for participants of the WIC program or the older adult congregate meal program, but it's all cash for produce of participants of these different programs. It is right now, the line item is only $500,000. It comes nowhere close to meeting sort of the demand and interest we see across the state. So this new bill would commit an additional $1 million to that Healthy Food Incentive line item fund. And why we think this is all related is that it's really about continuing to get more purchasing power in the hands of people and households, more purchasing power to buy fresh produce in their communities. So that's part one of House Bill 1008. Part two of House Bill 1008 is really the bulk of the bill, and that's really continuing this Community Food Access Program. So that most of the money would go to that I know it's a weird word, but the consortium, as it's called. So the broad consortium that really is a place to bring together farms, farmers markets, food hubs, and these small Colorado-owned independent food retailers to come together. And that's the consortium, is that they're providing training and technical assistance, support to each other, value chain coordination. How do we even find and get like local foods or fresh perishable foods in our doors? Help alleviating the cost of distribution, of getting fresh perishable food to some what are typically very small buyers, like a small independent neighborhood-based corner store. So there's the sort of the wraparound services, the work that goes with it, and then there's more money for the grants themselves, and really growing the Community Food Access Grant Program. So that's sort of part two of the bill. And then part three of the bill is a tax credit program. So it's the same, it's really sort of the same target beneficiaries. I hate those, that's the wrong word, but same people are supposed to benefit from this. The tax credit, the intent of the tax credit is really to alleviate the financial burden of distributing fresh perishable foods from what are maybe smaller than average sellers and smaller than average buyers. So just that the high cost, if you're a smaller farm or a food hub and you want to sell and distribute to a corner store or a really small rural store or a corner store in Metro Denver, that those distribution delivery costs can be pretty prohibitive for both of those, the buyer and the seller. So the point of the tax credit is really to alleviate, be able for those players to claim a tax credit against the costs of that regular distribution and delivery costs of selling and buying to each other. So There's some more nuances to that that are going to change a little bit, but really the intent of the tax credit is to alleviate that financial burden of distribution. So those are high level, the three parts. And I'll get into like how much money and how is this funded, but that's a lot of information. So I'm going to pause. Oh, and by the way, that whole piece though would still go to the Department of Agriculture. So Department of Agriculture would manage the tax credit program. They would manage the community food access grant program. That's a lot. I'm going to pause right there. What can I clarify? Or questions or comments or anything at all? I don't think I was that clear. No questions.
Trying to process it. It was a lot.
A lot. It is. And I'm trying to multitask and chat and chat in the bill as well. Sorry, I'm trying. Okay, here we go. Bill detail. I'm going to chat in our bill detail tracker on the bill as well. So a couple things, and please just chat in or interrupt me anytime with questions. So it's a lot moving forward. So a couple things about like how much money, how long, and all that. So here's the really interesting part of this is that Representative Wiseman has come up with basically a tax policy, a tax shift to fund this entire program. So the current projections is this would be about $6.5 million a year. And again, but with like $1 million set aside for that healthy food incentive fund that would directly go into probably like SNAP shoppers for Double Up Food Bucks directly into households for purchasing more produce. And the rest of the money would go to the, for the consortium at Department of Agriculture. So where this comes from is currently there is, if you're an individual or a corporate taxpayer in the state of Colorado, you can claim a tax deduction both on your federal taxes and on your state taxes against the cost of business meals. So the cost of meals that you eat when you go out and you're doing work and you're doing business, and it's a deduction that you can claim, again, both federal and state. So what Representative Wiseman is proposing is it's called decoupling, is that it's the same exact, you can claim the same exact amount federal and state right now. So he's proposing to decouple these from each other. So essentially you could still claim that amount on your federal taxes, claim that deduction, but essentially you would not get that deduction on your state taxes. And then what would happen with what would have been that revenue, what would have been that money going back into taxpayers' pockets from that deduction is now revenue going to the state of Colorado. So it would have been that state tax deduction is now going into the general budget of the state of Colorado, but is basically earmarked, right? Committed to this community food access grant and consortium in the Colorado Department of Agriculture. And so it's sort of a direct flow to CDA with that money. And it's written right now to expire in tax year 3031. Got that right? Okay, so it would start, basically, this would kick in gear halfway, 23, 24. Thank you, Mickey, 23. So it's tax year 2031 is what it's actually called, right? So how this would play out is that it would be, essentially you'd get sort of half of a tax years of funding at the beginning and half a year at the end, and the years 24 through 30 are full years, if I'm saying that correctly, of funding. That part I'm getting a little too much in the weeds, but it is written so it is set to expire, essentially to sunset, but it gives us many, many years to sort of build out the program, test the program, evaluate the program, and see, 7 years from now, where and how we really want that program to grow. So significant money with a good amount of years behind it. How am I doing? Am I still making sense? Questions, comments, concerns?
I might just add, Wendy, that at least part of what I appreciate about 1008 is that unlike 1380, which is the bill that's already established, that established my position and this program at the CDA. The funds are fluid between the grant program and the consortium costs. So like Wendy mentioned, you know, the consortium costs are going to be those wraparound services like technical assistance, connection to resources, distribution fee, subsidies, pallet break fee, all these things that we know are also barriers for small food retailers carrying this healthy food. And because this program is so new, yeah, we're not entirely sure if there's going to be more demand for the infrastructure projects that would be funded with grant money or for the wraparound services, like Wendy said. So I'm appreciating that this new bill sort of lumps those two together, because that will help the program respond a little bit more flexibly to what the needs of these small food retailers and other small food producers will be requesting.
Yeah. The other thing I like to add to that too, Mickey, and thank you for that. Yes, is like it really, we trying to tweak and improve a few things just already from last year and adding that flexibility. There's also a couple of things we know are going to be introduced as amendments. So I can't share that actual language yet, but just very high level, we know there will be amendments to this bill to do a couple things that we support, which is the grants I mentioned right now are capped at $25,000. We did that intentionally to keep it really simple. We just don't want a small store or a farmer to have to like be applying for a significant grant that has significant application burdens and reporting burdens. So we wanted to keep it pretty streamlined, but in the vein of keeping it pretty easy and accessible, but also providing enough money for all sorts of different types of players, that there are going to be an amendment to see if we can increase that grant level to $50,000 as well as annually. So right now it's like you can apply for $25,000, you're one and done. So the goal is to change it so you can apply for up to $50,000 and you could apply year after year. And that also you can apply per location. So if you are an independent small retailer, but you have say 3 sites, 3 stores, you could apply for each store. So if you really want to do massive improvements, you want like an amazing walk-in freezer at each of your sites. This is all hypothetical or something, because you're just going to be storing so much, frozen produce and fresh produce and whatever you're working on. You could do that for each of your sites. So look for that coming as well. And then there was one other little tweak that will probably happen is that right now, because the focus is really on small independent retailers and building that infrastructure, we did cap it at 5,000 square feet of food retail space last year, but that will probably increase to 10,000 square feet of food retail space moving forward, just again to kind of allow more flexibility between all the different potential applicants. Or like, what if you're a food hub that's really growing and you have a huge amount of food retail space? We don't want that to be the concern of why you can't apply. So again, that's a lot more to come. The bill is being introduced. This is being heard, this Monday in the House Finance Committee. And actually, I'm going to chat in the link to the House Finance Committee. Oh, that's the wrong link. That's my bill again. Sorry. I'm going to chat in the House Finance Committee site. If you could always go online and watch and listen into hearings. And we will be there. Many of our partners will be testifying on Monday afternoon. The committee session starts at 1:30 on Monday. And Laquita, please tell me how to pronounce your name and please ask your question.
Yes, Laquita, thank you. Okay, so just to understand, so I'm reading the bill, right? House Bill 22-1380.
Last year's bill. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't understand how the last part of the bill where it talks about appropriations, I don't understand how this last part goes with the top part.
It doesn't.
Okay.
This is the short answer. Part of me
read
like,
it 3 times.
like, no, you know what's going on. So Laquita, part of me was like almost like flinching when I chatted in the bill link because it's like, it's so convoluted and messy. I mean, there are really 4 totally unrelated bills in that one bill.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
I'm glad it was okay.
there's like just the section on the community food access grant. It was really because the Democratic sponsors really wanted us to kind of like put a big old package together, and they thought it would probably had a better chance of passing when we
Okay.
we're looking at all these. So there's a whole piece in there about like SNAP outreach and county efficiency that great and we support, but has nothing to do with the community food access grant program.
Okay, thank you. Because
Great
I was
question.
like, okay, my
Yeah,
head
what is
started hurt
this?
because it don't make sense.
That whole bill made my head hurt.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm
Thank
sorry
you.
to take you down that rabbit hole, but I just wanted people to see at least what is the original language that we're really building on. Yeah.
Right.
And again, for the hi Karime. Really the intent is really about equipping all of our food vendor partners that are in community, in neighborhoods, providing really, really amazing food access in neighborhoods, but are probably struggling to stay open, honestly. Probably facing a lot of challenges about the cost of finding and buying and getting delivered fresh perishable foods and keeping them then consistently in stock, and then sharing them and marketing and then promoting them. And I think, moving forward with the amount of resources for moving forward through House Bill 1008 there's so much that could be done that we're so excited about really supporting small stores and others to market and promote and to share and to stock and to share really culturally relevant foods in their communities and talk about them and promote them. Yep. So I'm going to look at yes. Okay. Thank you, Mickey. Mickey Davis just chatted in her contact information. She is currently running the brand new community food access grant program in Colorado. There's her email if anyone else has questions, what's going on. And again, as she said, I'll make sure that everyone that gets the Food Bill Action Team emails can also hear about the listening sessions she mentioned about the Community Food Access Grant Program and like get the recordings for those. So lots going on. I know we are kind of booking our, but we always try to keep this to 30 minutes. So I totally understand if anyone has to hop off right now. That is usually our practice is we try to keep it to 30 minutes. I did want to see if there's anyone else on the call though that have other bills. Are there other bills that anyone else is working on? Oh, actually, wait, beep, beep, beep. I'm going to back up before I totally move off 1008. There is no specific action right now, even though we like to call ourselves the Food Bill Action Team. Right now, things look pretty good for the bill, and we have some amazing people lined up to testify on Monday, coming from small stores and SNAP shoppers and community food navigators, and sort of an amazing lineup of people are going to testify on Monday. We do not anticipate any big concerns coming up. The path for the bill looks really positive right now. So that's why we have also been asked to like not do anything bigger, right? Not do like a big sign-on letter or any sort of big push or a big action letter, because things do look pretty good. And oftentimes legislators don't want to make too much noise if things are on a really positive path. So we've been asked to just like, let's see how things go. Let's line up good testimony. And kind of sit with that for right now. So there isn't any other big action because we're not in a position where we need to really kind of like rally everybody into action. So hopefully that makes sense. And we will absolutely be in touch if we do need to get there. And if we need more stories or support, we will be in touch. That's why we wanted you to make sure you knew everything that was going on. So that being said, on 1008, are there other people on the line, other bills that you all are involved with or tracking, or other bills that you have questions about? Anything else going on at the state?
Are you guys involved with the Just Conservation?
I'm sorry, with the what, Abby?
Just Conservation?
Oh, conservation.
No, the Just Cause eviction.
Oh, sorry, just cause eviction. Yes, can you talk more about that?
So this I would say the problem that is the bill addresses, people have been kicked out of their houses with no cause. It will say like no, like a real cause to kick them out of their houses. Some people have become homeless, or they have to go and live with somebody else. You know, there have been families. There have been other kind of like I would say landlords that have been like you know, putting excuses with people, saying that they have been like they need to remodel the building, but that's not true. They just like want them out of the building, and then these people have to try to find out like, you know, like where to live after that. So they will have a hearing also with the testimonies on the 15th at 2 p.m.
And do you know what
that-
committee that is, Abby?
Is the community organizing committee, and Colorado Homes for All is the one that is executing the process. So the logistic will be sent, I will say, the day before.
Okay,
But they were like, we were in a meeting yesterday, and they were explaining to people kind of like how, you know, like what to do if people haven't been there, you know, like what to think about it, you know, like you can know wear bells because they're going to find like trying to find out like, you know, like what you get in, you know, like if you just like bring some water, the parking, just like think about like how many bills are that day, but they that's the only one that they will be hearing until now. So the parking will be good, or just, you know, like get on over. That's kind of like the couple of things. And the community organizing will be, you know, like helping and supporting the community members. So they will be organizing them from their respective organizations to meet there.
thank you for that, Abby. And then, do you know if anyone is interested in getting involved or keeping in touch? Where should they go? How can they get involved and track this?
So they can go to Colorado Homes for All.
Can you check? Is it? I think it's mine. I don't know. Is my internet or is it Abby's?
Yeah, it's choppy. Yeah,
It's
it keeps
choppy.
cut. Yeah, it just cut out some of your words.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. My Wi-Fi. Abby, do you mind chatting that in?
Yes, I will. Just let me first, you know, like to be able to get involved, you have to connect first with Jocelyn. So I'm gonna drop the email right here, and I can also send like what you guys talking more information about it. I'm just like copying and pasting.
That's wonderful. And I did drop in the link to the actual bill. That's great. And is Metro Caring actively supporting this bill?
The Just Cause Division, we started like supporting it like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So that's kind of like we're gonna bring in one of the people that is going to be provided the testimony in front of everybody. So there's one person from here, and each organization has at least one person. And there is another, can you guys hear me?
Yes, now it seems better. I don't know why. It sounds great.
Okay, so they each organizer is going to bring their own you know, like person to testify, and then you know, like the one that have the, you know, like the kind of like the live experiences, because it's like the one that connect the most. Some of them will do it online. So as I understand, there will be some people that will be online. People were asking also if they wanted to be online or in person, which one of those have more impact. And we explained it to them, you know, like some people cannot make it there, but if they wanted to be online, you know, like they will make it. Another thing is that they're going to do it in Spanish and English. So if somebody speaks Spanish, they're going to have, I think the first 3 hours, they're gonna have a person that will translate. I'm not sure if we will have like from other organizations gonna bring other you know, people to translate. or just like to interpret in front of everybody. And they going to interpret. They were going to testify 2 minutes each one. So for the interpreters, for the people that will be in Spanish, it's going to be kind of like 3.5 to 4 minutes because they need time to interpret. But they are trying to, like to do their best as possible to, kind of like just like get them on that first hearing.
That is wonderful. I think we all really appreciate you sharing that. And everyone, please, we'll send out the recordings as well and notes, but you can just copy out of the chat too about how to reach out to Jocelyn and get more involved if this is a bill you're interested, or if your organization is interested in supporting this bill. But it sounds like things are moving now and moving fast, which is great. It's going to be heard on Wednesday. That's wonderful. Are there others, other bills that anyone is involved with that they would like to share about? Great. Okay. Well, thank you all. If you want to, we obviously don't track all the things going on, but I'm going to chat in right now our bill tracker, just so you can at least see the bills that we do support and or monitor and track, in case you're just interested about other sort of bills in the food and agriculture space. I know there are a couple of bills that we are supporting around the food pantry assistance grant program, which would bring more state dollars. That program provides dollars directly to food pantries to buy local foods to source in their food pantries. And then there's what's called a forward purchasing bill, which actually passed out of committee today, which just changes state language essentially, and that would allow partners like a food pantry or a school district to enter into a contract. Sorry, it's a forward contracting bill, which would enter into a contract with growers before the product is delivered. So a really important mechanism for growers that say want to sell to food pantries or to schools, but maybe their product isn't available until June, July, August, September. But that food pantry or school is, looking to secure a contract in March, right? To secure that when food will be coming in the door. So it allows the use of state money in these forward contracts. So allows those entities to use state money, but enter into contract with a farmer before that product is actually delivered. So that bill passed out of committee today. It is something we are supporting and tracking. So those are some examples of bills you'll see in our bill tracker. And we're always here for questions or to direct you to those who are working on our partner bills. So that's all I had to share today. Just want to make sure we could be somewhat clear about this big new program coming out of House Bill 1008. Any other questions, comments, hopes, dreams, fears? Cool. It's great. I know this was a lot of one-way information today. And I promise once we have more actions, we will be back online together as well. So we will be in touch. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We really appreciate you being here and super excited for what is going to come out of the state legislative session. So thank you all for being here, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. I have it recorded in Spanish.
I'm sorry, Becca.
It's okay. No worries. Glad I could help.
Thank you.
Thank you.